Hey, can you get out of the way? The dog loves dirt. Welcome to a key demonstration on bench cutting. Bench cutting is essentially when you're cutting across a slope that has an angle. What we're going to do first is just the rough cut, and so I'm going to set a spot up slope of where I want the bench cut to start, and so that'll be my first thing. Let's do a first pass of that all along here. You can use a bunch of different tools for bench cutting. I suggest you watch my which tools for what video, but the TLDR is that my bench cutting tool of choice is the Rogue hoe. Fucking love my Rogue hoe. So the Rogue hoe comes in like this, and you'll see that, and it already cuts a nice angle, which will blend in to the slope here, whereas a shovel will cut the 90-degree, which again is kind of what a bench is, but we are going to be doing a modified bench again here to blend in our bench cut with the surrounds. So we'll do a number of passes for the bench cut. The first one will just be marking the high line, and then we'll start getting into some other passes, and I will do the entire section that I'm going to do. So I'll do my first pass all the way along, and then I'll do the second pass, and then the third. I usually find 3 passes is enough, but it depends again how steep you are, what the material is, etc. So that's really all that it takes to do your first pass. You can start, seeing the bench starting to take shape. We're going to take this dirt here, all this dirt, and we're going to pull it down to the log, and then also on the other side of the log, because we're going to use that to pack it in. Get to the chopper. Your second cut, I try and make a little more substantial, because this is the part where we're going to start bringing that dirt down slope. So now we've done the second cut. You'll see that now we've got a lot of loose dirt all piled up here, and we've actually already started pulling it down into our cribbing. But all of this loose dirt needs to go down there, okay? This is where a hard rake shines. Again, I have the hybrid, so I'm gonna just make it as stiff as possible and pull that dirt down into the cribbing. Ideally, I'm gonna stand behind the cribbing, start pulling this back. Like this, you want to yank all this stuff, and you want to put it on the downslope side. All this stuff, this can all help hold your cribbing in place, but it shouldn't be in here, because that organic matter is going to absorb water. Water is your enemy. And now we're starting to see dirt piling up behind the cribbing as well, which is great. That's what we want. I just used to drag my foot along there. It helps get that stuff, chuck it downhill. Same with this. Lots of organic matter in there. Done your second pass, and you're going to start seeing a hump form on your trail, okay? Now look at that, it's starting to look like a trail. Pretty cool. Basically, your third cut will be taking down that hump. We don't need to go any higher here. You can see all this dirt needs to move down there, so we have plenty of dirt. We don't need to go any higher over here. We just need to take out this hump. And you can see this angle already looks much nicer and more natural than if it were like straight up and down and you were using a shovel. So again, another reason to use the hoe. You will also see roots sticking up, these little bastards. That is just your lot in life as a trail builder. They are everywhere. So here's this tree. This tree's, all of its roots are gonna be coming this way. And because we're digging down, we're gonna start encountering its roots. So that's why it's really important to not be going down slope of a mature native species tree, something that you wanna protect. Again, this is just hawthorn. They're stubborn mothers. Taking out these roots won't kill this tree. There are many, many other hawthorns. Oh, behold, look at all the hawthorns. I'm not too fussed about killing hawthorns. In fact, I do believe the city considers them an invasive species and wants them gone. It will slow you down, okay? So anytime you go south of a tree or downslope of a tree, it's gonna slow you down. So, you know, even if it's a shitty tree, you may wanna consider going up and above. I didn't wanna do that here because of just the line I was going on. But just another reason why you wanna be upslope of a tree. All right, so next, we are going to do the third cut. Not a rock, a brick. Welcome to the dawn. You are so handsome. You're a handsome puppy. Yes, you are. Now we're done the third cut. As you can see, we moved a lot of soil here, a lot of roots and stuff. But now we're gonna do the same thing we did after cut number 2, is we're gonna pull all this soil down slope, get it into our cribbing, get it below our cribbing. It's gonna start holding our cribbing in place. This is the exciting part. This is where all of the work we've done so far is starting to turn into a trail. Start talking about slope, okay? A lot of rain will happen upslope, and water always wants to take the path of least resistance, which is always down, and that is the kind of the waterfall line. And what we want to make sure is once all of this water, not just the water that lands directly on the trail, but the water that comes down the slope, it's going to come down here, kind of come down our bench cut here, and we want to make sure that it does not stay on our trail. And the reason we want to do that is because obviously that is going to keep the trail wet, which makes it much more susceptible to damage by people walking on it and riding it. It lengthens the window of drying, so it takes longer between rains for you to be able to ride the trail. Now that we've done the third cut, we want to give this whole tread just a bit of an angle. I've read somewhere that it's between like 5 and 3 degrees, but I am not going to measure that. But basically a subtle slope so that the water will shed off the trail and continue its path downhill, which is really what we want. After the third cut, basically we got to start looking at the slope and being like, okay, I'm looking at this and I'm seeing it is not, first of all, smooth, which is, you know, something we're going to have to deal with, but it is also perhaps a little aggressive on the angle. You know, it doesn't have to be flat, but I'm going to like smooth this out, and I'm going to make sure that this angle is consistently headed downhill. I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions on that, just ask me directly in the comments. But this is the key part of your trail, and you really want to pay attention to this part. This is the part where all of your hard work starts really coming into focus. All of a sudden that kind of like unwieldy area that we were first looking at has turned into this fucking beautiful piece of trail. Like, look at this. I'm really happy with this right now. If we look at the angle here, you can see that it's definitely continuously sloping. Not the far part, we have to blend that in to the next part, but right up where the hoe is and closer to us. From there, everything just curves really nicely. You can see the back cut blends really nicely. It's not angled, which again just doesn't look natural. It's got a really nice blend, and that continues all the way off to the backside of the cribbing. So what that means is that not only does it look good, but the water is going to flow off of it. I'm really feeling good about this. The next step from here is tamping. And so tamping is just going to make sure that I'm not just looking at loose dirt that looks good, but that I'm going to pack it down. You can use the back of the hoe, which is what I'm going to use. A McLeod works really well. Obviously a tamper works really well. And do not forget about your feet. The backside of a shovel also works really nicely, as all you jumpers know. And now we're going to come in here, and you see all this soil here? Ow, pokey. All of this soil is going to be our backfill. And we want to pack it down like that, okay? So basically we're going to pack it, smack it, bring it up slope if we want to. We want it to come all the way up and get underneath our cribbing, okay? Because this is going to hold our cribbing in place. This is the dream. If you can get your cribbing to look like this, where it's packed with dirt in the back, nothing's gonna move this. Once the rain comes in and packs all this in, oh, it's gonna be permanent. You can also just do it with your feet, depending on what kind of work you want to do. The same thing here. Take this and fill that gap, just whoosh, like that. And that's just all gonna help. It's gonna do wonderful things. Here's our rock. We still got some dirt here, so we're gonna pack that in. I can stand on it. I feel way more secure about this being, you know, sustainable. And we're gonna get back on our hands and knees here again. And we're gonna look at that. You can see here, we're maintaining that angle. Everything is perfect. Now, most people will say, all right, I'm done, I'm gonna go on to the next section. But there are two things that you can do here which are going to differentiate you from a noob to an expert, and that is the blend. So by blending it in, we're gonna make this look like it has been here since the dawn of civilization, and that way people will be a lot less fussed. But look at that, it's beautiful, eh? You gotta feel good about that. I mean, this is why you're out here, creating something, taking you know, an unsculpted piece of canvas and turning it into something that's beautiful. Oh, this is the best part, man, right here. If you don't like this, you shouldn't trail build. This is the juice, baby.